Hey, 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 beautiful people, and welcome back to another soulful session of Mondays with Montanay. Well, it's not Monday today, but it's Wednesday, and it's as important. This is where we're going to dive deep into the rhythm of life, love, and liberty. And of course, we can never forget democracy. You know who I am. I'm your host, ED. Yeah, that Montanay dude. And I'm ready to groove through the beats of the week with you. And tonight, what about tonight? We got a lot to unpack. A moment of great celebration for some, yet of deep concern for a whole bunch of folks. President-elect Donald Trump. Oh, every time we hear that name, we get tight. Oh, anyway, his recent victory has left the country in a mix of pride, disbelief, and uncertainty about what lies ahead. Tonight, I want to talk about what this victory means, not only for America at large, but specifically for marginalized communities and those often left out of the democratic process, period. We're going to reflect on where we are, how we got here, and the work that remains to be done. And we've got to ensure that democracy truly represents everybody, all of us, you and me too. Trump's victory speech created immediate concerns. He claimed to have masterminded the greatest political movement of all time, folks, expressing his pride in what he describes as unprecedented coalition, including the voices of black people and Hispanic people and Asian people and all the other marginalized folks from the communities. He made the declaration, listen, this is what he said. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? Dude, the audacity of his words, it only mirrors the reality we're now faced with. A moment in history where democracy is literally hanging by a thread, and the American people have got to decide how to protect our futures. Trump has promised to restore America to a so-called golden age. Is that anything like the Renaissance? And it's focused on economic prosperity, border security, and what he calls common sense principles. Yet, his plan includes things like Project 2025, a program that could reshape our federal governance system and disrupt the core values of diversity, equity, and inclusion, like it's already done, but even further. The Project 2025 effort and its impact on marginalized communities threatens to widen the gap between those at the top and the communities at the bottom. And this shift could lead to a trickle-down democracy where those at the bottom, our marginalized community, always are going to bear the brunt of the change. We'll get crushed. Dude, it's time for us to come together and stand firm against policies that could dismantle civil liberties, reduce access to public services, and threaten our very humanity. We gotta move, folks. For Black Americans, this new administration's approach raises critical concerns about economic health. There are many families already feeling the pinch from rising costs for essentials like eggs, milk, and gasoline. These kitchen table topics affect us all, and for the middle class, particularly white families who were once considered a secure majority, there's a growing fear of losing influence and becoming a minority in a system increasingly skewed towards the wealthy. They worried about getting crushed too. Trump's win sends a message that many in America feel overlooked, marginalized, and economically strained. However, it's crucial that these policies reflect the needs of everyone, not just the privileged few. Now, I want to talk about Dr. King a little bit. His prophecy about life moving beyond civil rights to human rights. In looking at these challenges, I'm reminded that our struggles would shift from the attention given to the civil rights of every man to the human rights of everybody. Dr. King warned us of an unsettling force. not a violent force, but unsettling, that would rise up to challenge the powers that be and address the outcry of inequity across all races, creeds, and color lines, class barriers. Now is that time. The unsettling force Dr. King envisioned is here, urging us to take action. We cannot rely on the top-down change. That trickle-down democracy will impose upon us nothing but, we must organize, unite, and stir from the bottom, because as history shows us, when you stir from the bottom, baby, everybody rises. Now, as we contemplate this unsettling force, it's time for a call to action. I want to identify 2 critical areas where you can start making a difference right now. Strengthening local government and community ties is essential. We've got to build strong grassroots movements at the city and state levels, working closely with local government to ensure our voices are heard. It starts here. The Black community and other marginalized groups, we must actively engage in city hall meetings. We got to get there, folks, send representatives, and then get the information out. Community forums are essential, and with state representatives, it's a must to talk to them. Our influence begins locally and expands from there. We've got to collaborate with state and national representatives. It's important to collaborate with state representatives who are supposed to advocate for our rights and equality. We have to amplify our voices to create a wave of change that reaches all the way to the Congress and ultimately to the White House. We've got to make sure that these representatives that we have elected to represent us understand the needs of the people, and that they come first, prioritizing policies that uphold justice, fairness, and equality and equity for all. We can't stand idle as democracy fades. Darling people, brothers, sisters, everybody, it's our responsibility to carry on Dr. King's vision, working together across political, ethnic, and social divides, and to form an unbreakable alliance, an alliance that cannot be hindered. I want to close tonight with a reading of my own reflections. There's one of my great poet friends. His name is Emmett Wheatfall. He asked the question: has the sun set on democracy in America? And I said, is freedom dead in America? Have we knowingly or unknowingly set a king on the throne? Well, he owns the Senate. He owns the Congress. What do we do? As I laid across my sitting room couch, I was dismayed and in disbelief at what I was witnessing, struggling. I was trying to find a way to process it all. It was terrifying. There was a familiar urgency that stirred up within me, much like the one I felt back in 2020 when I watched Donald Trump secure the presidency then. It was a moment that warned me of the grave danger for Black Americans if we should choose complacency. Listen to me, brothers, sisters. In times like these, I reach out to those I consider mentors, voices that have stood in the gap, paving paths of equality and freedom. And when my spirit feels heavy, I turn to the timeless wisdom of those who stood against the harsh tides of history. I begin by preparing the soul food dinner that my goddaughter always warns me about. She said, it always warms my spirit, and I feel like I'm such at home when I eat your cooking. I needed company at the table, and who better to join me than some of the great Black voices that have guided our steps? And they each offered words that echo so loudly right now in our times. Now, sitting at my table were Langston Hughes. He sat down with his broad, sweeping words, reminding us, let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. He insisted that democracy will not come today, this year, nor ever through compromise and fear. And though America never was America to and for me, he vowed America will be. Hughes spoke to the unrealized dream of democracy and reminded us to keep alive that courage to envision a nation that finally fulfills its promise, and we're the people that can do it. Then I sought out Thurgood Marshall, calling him into the conversation, seeking insight on the current threat to equality in our country. He said that equal means getting the same thing at the same time, in the same place. He told us that we got to dissent from the indifference. We must dissent from the apathy. We've got to dissent from the fear, the hatred, and the mistrust. We've got to move away from these things because America can do better, because America has no choice but to do better. Marshall's words fueled me, calling for vigilance to protect democracy and urging to act in the face of inequality. As I listened to his charge, I remembered Dr. King's prophetic vision of a future where our fight would not only be for civil rights, but for human rights, calling on an unsettling force to mobilize people across IL cities, from state houses to Congress, pushing the White House forward in change for all men. That great organizer, Bayard Rustin, reminded me of our collective power and our responsibility. He said, we need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers. The only weapon we have is our bodies, and we need to tuck them in places so wheels don't turn. Bayard's dedication to nonviolent resistance as the bedrock of democracy has emphasized the strength of people's peaceful dissent, pressing us to continue in the fight for justice even when it appears to be completely out of reach. Now, in the middle of our discussion, James Baldwin, he leans forward, his words both sobering and inspiring. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. He loved America more than any other country, he said, and it was precisely this love that granted him the right to criticize her perpetually. Baldwin's critique, like the loving rebuke of a parent, reminds us that America's survival as a democracy depends on an honest reckoning with its flaws. He urged us to make space for voices marginalized by our society, recognizing that until we are all seen, democracy remains incomplete. I was excited to see Richard Wright, a voice that did not shy away from the brutal truths of being black in America. Men can starve from a lack of realization as much as they can from a lack of bread. He observed this thing. He said, I am an invisible man. I am a man of substance, of flesh and bone, fiber and liquids, and I might even be said to possess a mind. Wright spoke to the emotional starvation endured by black Americans for centuries, making plain that democracy still fails to honor the full humanity of all of its citizens. Finally, the send-off was Ralph Ellison. When he arrived, I could see the wisdom of countless lives reflected in his gaze. America is woven of many strands, he said. I would recognize them and let it so remain. Our fate is to become one, and yet many. This is not prophecy, but description. Who, Brother Ellison? He reminded us of the beauty in our diversity, urging resilience and unity. And even when it seems that the odds are stacked against us, his voice served as a reminder that democracy's survival rests on recognizing all voices and championing their contributions. Around that dinner table, the conversation was rich and filled with hard truths and with enduring hope. That's what it's going to take. Each man a part of the legacy that we must continue to build. As we sat together with the aromas of the soul food filling the room, their words resonating deeply as I want them to resonate with you tonight. Each voice reminded me of the stakes before us and the struggle that we have for justice, which persists despite the indifference of those who would rather ignore the marginalized. Yes, the sun may appear to be setting on democracy, but it hasn't yet. The words of those who came before us, their struggles, their triumphs, and sacrifices are the very light that we need to keep moving forward. Democracy will endure only if we challenge injustice, reject complacency, and push ourselves to carry on the work. In the names of those who sat with me tonight, we've got to rise to meet these times. We owe it to them, to ourselves, and to generations yet to come. Final words and farewell. I'm through. The path ahead is steep, my friends, and democracy is fragile right now. We have got to press forward, and we must be fueled by the courage of those who came before us. This isn't just about politics. It's about the soul of America, the dream of a nation where every voice matters and every community thrives. I'm urging you to become part of the unsettling force, to rise, to speak, and to act with conviction. Let's make Dr. King's vision of human rights a reality, and keep the light of democracy burning brightly. It was powerful being with you tonight, and as always, I want you to keep your light shining. My regular shout-outs are going to be the Post Shines, not just a restaurant, but an incredible experience, located at 8139 North Denver, right here in the heart of Kenton, and you can expect the best soul food, as I described tonight, this side of the Willamette. Aunties and Tanties Daycare, they keep us going, and they like moms and dads to your children. Adorn Electric, they light up our lives, and we're grateful for the support. Now, you can visit me on Sunday mornings at Celebration Tabernacle, right here in Portland, Oregon. I want to send a special shout out to our team. You know, sometimes I just get tongue-tied. Dion, Robin, Andy, and Paul, not one of them is bigger than the other, and they all stand tall. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and followers. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing from Mondays or Wednesdays or Thursdays or Fridays with Mondene. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Well, Facebook is over there and YouTube's over there. You've seen it. You've seen it. Thanks one more time for tuning into Mondays with Mondene. And remember, it's not just about the music. It's about the message. Let's keep the conversation going and make a difference, one beat at a time. And until next week, or until next time, stay blessed and keep your light shining. You know, I talk about a lot about knowing where you came from to know where you're going. Well, I came from the projects of St. Louis, Missouri. And I ended up into the majestic mountaintops of Portland, Oregon. It's been a wonderful journey, and Lewis and Clark took that journey from St. Louis to Portland, and I took it too. It talks about who I am, and as I'm with you often in in cyberspace or on websites or on the, what do you call it, social media, I want you to know a little bit about me and who I am. This book talks about my fantasies, my failures, my triumphs, and more than that, it talks about the resiliency of being able to continue to go forward regardless of the odds. I'd get a copy. It's called From Maladies to Melodies. And I hope that you enjoy it and give me some feedback. God bless.
Hey, it's time for you to come to Post Shine. Check out that catfish sandwich. Oh my goodness, is that the shrimp po' boy? Man, look at that chocolate chip cake. Man, I need to get over to Post Shines at 8139 North Denver right now because this food looks delicious. Or call if you'd like, 503-978-9000. And don't miss it, you'll be sorry.
In times gone past, we find ourselves making excuses so that people remind that, ooh, I've got to get home and tend to the brand new missus. I need some time alone. Can't this wait until I finish texting on my phone?